Hi everyone, let's go over how to make a simple square tessellation. What I've got here is a 3-inch square. You can cut your own out by measuring 3 inches, or there should be a template on canvas that you can print out and cut out. So to make a tessellation, it's really simple. What I'm going to do is draw a line across the top. I'm not going to go too far down from the top. This line can be random. Keep it somewhat simple. I'm going corner to corner. It's very important that you go from corner to corner. I'm going to cut that out and move it directly across. I'll do that right now. Making sure I cut from the corner. Okay, so I've cut that shape out. Make sure you line it up to make sure it fits in the square, and then you just move it straight across. Line up the edges so they're flush, and then tape those together. Now I'm going to do the same thing from one of the sides. I'll go from this side. Simple line, corner to corner. I'm going to move this straight across to the left. I'm going to fit that in, make sure it's right, and then move it straight across. Line the corners up with the corners. And tape. So now I've got my shape that will be my tessellation. I'm going to take my piece of paper, and starting in the very top corner, I'm going to line up the square with the top of the paper. So the top of the paper goes right along the original square, and the side of the paper goes right along the original square. And I'm going to outline this shape I've got. Got the outline. I'm going to move my shape over and look and see how that fits. I'm going to continue this, making sure the top of the square is lined up with the top of the paper. And I'll repeat that. Now when I get to this spot, some of my shape is going off of the paper. I'm just going to trace what is still on the paper. Okay, now I can move my shape down and it will still fit. I'll start tracing again. Move it over. Now as you trace, do your best to make sure it lines up and fits in like a puzzle. It might get a little bit off, that's okay. Just keep going, make it fit the best you can. And move on down. Looks like I forgot to trace that little spot up here. I'm going to do that. Okay, now at the bottom, I'm running off the page again, so I'm just going to trace whatever will stay on the paper. All right, now I'm done filling in my paper. I have to look at my shape and ask my shape, what are you? I'm going to turn it around until I see something that I think is interesting. Now remember, these tessellations you're going to use as inspiration for a clothing design. So get creative and do something that you think might be interesting. I see kind of a person in here. There's a nose. Maybe I'll do this. Put some lips here. It's got a hat on. Make it into like a beanie type thing. Put an ear here. Ponytail. All right. I'm not sure if I really love that, so I might try some different things. When you do this, draw lightly in case you don't like it. Then you can go back and fix it. This is supposed to be an assignment you spend quite a bit of time on, okay? I'm talking like a couple hours, so I want you to color it and make it look really good. And then you'll go on to the next step of using this as inspiration for your clothing design. I'll show you real quick some examples that you can also see on canvas. These were done on bigger pieces of paper. I made it for you. You just have to do a regular sized piece of paper because I know most of you don't have big pieces of paper like this just kicking around home. Here's a great example of some ducks and their clothing design, front and back, both full color. They even started to do a helmet. You can see how if I'm looking at this, I don't see any ducks, but if I compare these two right next to each other, I can see how this inspired this. All right, here's an example that's a little more literal, where they have these animals, and then the animals appear on the shirt. Here's an example of some fish and some coral. And then the fish appears on the dress with this coral stuff down here, some air bubbles. You can use this inspiration however you want. I do want to be able to tell that you use this as inspiration for the clothing design. You've got 4 different templates you can choose from. If you want to design your own clothing from scratch, you don't have to use a template, but it should be the same size. Fill up a whole piece of paper. I'd love to see you get creative and come up with your own clothing design. Everything needs to be full color. I like quality. Quality will get you a good grade. Spend some time on this and do your best.